Bam Monday. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Monday morning edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I'm your host, Chuck Fulkerson. Glad you're able to make it in today. We are going to take a look today at some of the major market news. We're going to talk about a stock of the day. But before we do that, I want to ask you, do me a favor. If you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. At the very least, leave us a like. It takes you no time at all, but it means a lot to the computers. Okay. So before we get started, one really quick announcement is that we've changed the daily market commentary. For the last year or so, we've been doing a live trade room, but we've switched some things up in our tradersarmy.com live session. So now we're going to do this very short, 5 minutes. We're going to talk about the big picture and what we see happening in some of the big picture markets, and we're going to talk about a stock of the day. I'm excited to start talking about a stock of the day because I think a lot of us that are in these markets are looking for good opportunities in the stock market, and there's stock market opportunities all the time. So we're going to try to look for one every single day. But let's get rolling right into it. So real quick announcement, on Thursday, March the 4th is going to be our Trader Summit. So the Trader Summit is coming up. It's limited to the first 1,000 registrations, so make sure that you register. We're going to have some amazing presenters: Corey Lane, Justin Krebs, Herman Casas, Ryan Miller, Lex Lutheringhausen. We're going to have Jim Cagnina, and it's going to be a full day of educational content. There's not going to be a sales pitch in sight. The idea is that it's going to be things that you want to learn about as a trader. Cryptocurrencies, how do I get started in them? A lot of traders have been on the sidelines with cryptos because they don't know how to get started. They can read the charts, but don't know how to get started. A tax storm, how to avoid potential tax storm in retirement. We're going to talk about how to control the money game. Ryan Miller is a really strong performance coach. Corey's going to talk about an effective trading plan. Lex is going to talk about market dynamics and the GME short squeeze. So make sure that you don't miss that one. And then Jim is going to talk so many ways to trade stock index futures. So it's going to be a great day. And at the end of the day, we're going to sit down and have a bourbon or whatever it is, your drink of choice. And I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to be a long day for me, so I'm going to enjoy it. So go to tradersarmy.com today/Trader Summit in order to register. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started first and foremost with the big picture. So in today's big picture, when I look at the big picture, I look at 4 markets: S&P, NASDAQ, crude oil, and gold. Those are going to be our 4 big picture markets. And we were led last week with the yields in the bonds really driving the market towards the end of the week, and a big market sell-off that scared the bejesus out of the market. And actually, the market that was holding up the strongest for a while was the Dow, but it actually sold off the most on Friday. So let's look at those 4 markets, starting with the S&P and what we may see happen today. So just looking at the big picture from last week, we see that the S&P still continuing its upward movement and upward momentum. If I take it off of the ES and just look at the SPX, which is our index, I think we're going to continue to see this index continue to rally. I'm going to throw a real quick study on here, and we're going to put our moving averages. And our moving averages are important for a couple of reasons. But one of the reasons is that a lot of traders and investors use them. And we can see that the S&P 500 is sitting right at the 50-period moving average. Now, we're sitting right at the 50-period moving average, and we've put in a bit of a reversal candle on Friday. This is actually usually a bullish sign. When we are in between the 20 and the 50-period moving average, that's typically going to be a bullish sign, and there's oftentimes opportunities. Now, I will say that our momentum weakness has continued. And when we look at momentum, what we're looking at is the fact that as prices have gone up, our momentum has continued to go down. So I look at the momentum indicator down here a bit as like an accelerometer, and that has continued to fall. So what am I looking for today? Well, for today, if I just look at the time periods that are a little bit smaller, like the 1 hour time period, I'm going to move over to the S&P, which is our futures markets that have our overnight trading. We can see that we're basically chopping sideways here for a little while. We talked about a potential breakdown below 3,800, never really came to fruition. And so as far as today goes, you have on a 15-minute, a smaller time period, you've got a potential reversal area up here at 38.88 by 38.99. But I think you could also even have a breakout trade above the Globex high, so somewhere above 38.58. Um, all in all, we're still chopping a bit sideways in this 4-hour trend, and until we get through some of this noise, it's going to be hard to really pick a clean direction. The Nasdaq was a much bigger market sell-off the last couple of days. If we take a look at the Nasdaq going from 13.9 all the way down to 12.6, it dropped about 9%. Looking at this, if I look at the Nasdaq on a daily chart, and we look at the NASDAQ index on a daily chart, and we put those same indicators on there with the moving averages, we can see that we're actually below the 50-period moving average in the NASDAQ. Now, that's the first time the NASDAQ's gotten below the 50-period moving average since October. But we've noticed that the NASDAQ did that twice since March. Poked below, stayed below for a few days, and then continued to run right back up above. So all in all, we haven't changed our overall bigger picture bullish bias, and we're going to continue to look for bullish opportunities and pullbacks. And so if we do rally up today, which we have rallied up in the overnight, we are coming to a potential area of supply where we may see a bit of weakness and a bit of a reversal. So keep these areas here in mind. The level that we're looking at here is that 13,224. Now, the reason that's a confirmation entry is because of the fact that we have already touched it once with this green candlestick right here. Let's go ahead and take a look at our two major commodity markets that oftentimes will drive the market. We're going to look at gold and crude oil. And looking here first at crude oil. So crude oil on Friday came into our area of demand and popped right up out of that level. Now, I certainly would not begrudge you for not catching that trade because it didn't come into that level until the afternoon on Friday. So coming into the level in the afternoon on Friday, it was a bit weaker. And so now what are we looking at? Well, we have a supply level up above us here, and we were unable to create a new high in our last area. So on the 4-hour, our 4-hour trend is still up, but definitely showing us a fair amount of momentum slowing. If I put my momentum indicator on here, we will be able to see that our momentum, though we're getting slightly higher highs in price, we've got roughly the same highs in our momentum indicator. So our momentum indicator is slowing down, telling us that we could see prices come down a little bit more in crude oil. If you want to be more aggressive, a more aggressive entry, for those of you today that are interested in being aggressive, would be to get short right up here. That's a more aggressive short entry. I'm a little tempted to actually go a bit lower than that and to go right here at about 62.28. So you could even be more aggressive than that. But I think that's a very aggressive short entry if you want to try that one today. Crude oil in the overnight. So last night we had a live trade room, and Herman was identifying some turning points, and this was the level that he identified last night. I'm going to leave it in here so that when he does his live trade room later today, he can talk about that move. But that was a nice little touch and go off of that level. So for those of you that were around to play that one, most of us were probably in bed and didn't catch that one, but that did get a pretty nice move away. I think on our 4-hour chart, our trend is clearly down, and so I don't think you've missed that move. If you really want to get in, I think our next stop down here is 1,700. I think we can look at a target of 1,700 in gold. So those are our big four, and those are the big four that we're going to cover every day in the DMC, as those are the ones that will make the determining factor on how we can anticipate price movement. So if you have any questions on that, as always, send us an email, support@tradersarmy.com. Let's go ahead and talk about the stocks that are going to be in the news today, and we've got our stock of the day. So for today's stock of the day, we're going to talk about Etsy. Now, Etsy is not just the place where your wife goes and buys you really nice stuff. At least that's the place where my wife goes and buys me really nice stuff. Etsy's become one heck of a large business. And if we take a look here at the daily chart of Etsy, let's start with the daily chart. We can see that Etsy's trading around $220 per share. I mean, from April of last year to today, that stock has gone from $30 to $239 a share. It's had a very, very strong movement over the last year or so. Our earnings just came out, and they had fairly strong earnings that just came out last week, as it did give us a strong gap up. Now, I will say this. We gapped up, but we were unable to move on that gap. And it was after a pretty decent pullback. So when I look at Etsy overall, the thing that I'm paying attention to is this could be an opportunity to take advantage of a bit of weakness if we do see some weakness. Now, looking at Etsy in the pre-market, we're trading up about $5. We're trading up at about 225.01 by 225.50. So if I take a look at our pre-market trading, we can see that up here in the pre-market it looks like we're trading a bit higher. So I don't really rely too much on pre-market trading. It does give me an idea of where we will probably open. And so as I look at this, I'm looking at the fact that on Friday we had a lot of selling orders, and we're going to open up somewhere up here around this 225 region. Well, if we get lower than this area right here, we get lower than this area right here, this 215 region, I think then you have an opportunity to get short. Getting lower than that 215 region is an opportunity to get short and to play Etsy back to the downside. It's a little bit more aggressive, no doubt, but a little bit of a breakout trade below here. If we open up here and trade down throughout the day, keep this one on your radar screen this week as a potential stock where we could see a little bit of a move down. So Etsy is our technical analysis look for the day, and that will be the one that we're going to pay some attention to throughout the day today and early into this week. So thanks so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, as always, send me an email, support@tradersarmy.com. Remember, don't forget to leave a like, and I will talk to you soon. See ya. Hey, thanks for joining us. If you like what we do, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's the only way the computers know that you're actually alive and really care. And go to tradersarmy.com today to learn a bit more. And if you want to see some of our other videos, click here in the box.